Greetings, comrades. My name is Gigantals. So welcome to the third and final installment of my Why Global Warming Will End the World lecture. So in the last episodes, we covered the carbon cycle and the role of it in global warming, global cooling, and we also covered the chronology of the ice ages and what caused them and the other factors. This week, we'll be exploring the sad truth. So we'll be exploring where did it all go wrong, the future of the world, and the end as we know it. And then at the end of the video, there's going to be an important announcement, so please stay tuned to the end. First of all, where did it go wrong? You remember that from last episode, I gave you a period of time and a cause to think about, the Industrial Revolution of global warming. And hopefully you've thought about that enough, maybe done a bit of your own research, and if you have, you'll know what's coming. So we'll be doing an in-depth analysis of what went wrong, and with every step we'll get closer to the sad truth. Just a final warning also. If you haven't watched the last episodes, please do, because this episode requires information from both those episodes. If you don't understand, you won't understand this episode. So the Industrial Revolution. This was one of the most significant periods of time in human history. It lasted from 1760 to 1840. During this time, the industries of Britain, especially textiles, switched to new manufacturing processes, which included a lot of mechanization and factories being created, and chemical and iron manufacturing went up through the roof, and this change allowed Britain to build up the largest empire in history. At its largest in 1920, the British Empire covered a quarter of all the land on Earth. It's freaking huge. It was freaking huge. Largest empire in history. There's a reason why he said the sun never set on the British Empire, because it stretched all the way across the world. And you may be wondering why I'm focusing on Britain, but the reason why is because the Industrial Revolution, although there were other mini industrial revolutions for other countries, the Industrial Revolution I'm covering for Britain is a significant one, because that was the very beginning. So that there was problems with the Industrial Revolution, and I'm going to show you several images, pictures and drawings. I want you to find the one thing they will have in common. Other than being black and white, obviously. So here's the first one. Feel free to pause them when you want to look closer. Here's the second one. Here's the third one. Here's the fourth one. And here's the fifth one. You may have noticed that there's a lot of smoke. I mean, you know, smog and stuff. Smog, which is the fog, condensation in the atmosphere, mixed in with the soot and smoke, which creates a dense cloud of smoke that covered the city. It got to the point, and you'll find it's funny. Sometimes the smoke got so bad that people had to hire blind people to guide them from like stations and stuff to their home, because the blind people knew their way around the city, and the smog was so thick that Londoners couldn't see anything in front of them, so they had to rely on blind people. Which is supposed to show that how bad visibility was. And there was a lot of breathing problems. Thousands of people died every year from smog, and they still do. And that's one of the problems with the Industrial Revolution. In those days, it was all about keep pushing forward. The environment was never considered. And the Industrial Revolution relied on coal. So you can imagine, so just think of all the carbon dioxide released from that burning coal. We don't know how many fossil fuels there were before used in the Industrial Revolution, but it was a freaking huge amount. There was significant enough to cause, on a local scale, huge clouds of pollution to cover southwest England.
If there were satellites, you would have seen them from space, they were so big.
And on a global scale, it actually caused the climate to change. Do you remember the Little Ice Age, 1300 to 1850? Do you remember how there was so much carbon dioxide and soot produced in the Industrial Revolution? Guess what happened to the Little Ice Age? It ended. Before you say the Industrial Revolution ended in 1840, or the Little Ice Age ended in 1850, so maybe due to other factors, just stop. The Industrial Revolution was a period of time when methods in the
Industry changed.
Okay? The Industrial Revolution paves the way forward for industries, and that path is still being used today. The process of the beginning of mechanization ended in 1840, not the industry. From then on, the change was over, and everything was just mechanized, and the carbon dioxide being produced at steady, and factory goods and stuff were being produced at a steady rate. On a geological timescale, global cooling takes a long time compared to global warming to happen. What global cooling did in 550 years or so, global warming reversed in 80. As you can see, the Little Ice Age, global cooling, global warming. Global cooling, global warming. Global cooling, 25,000 years to get from here to here. Global warming, 15,000 years to get from here to here. So from what we explored last episode, the Ice Age was the beginning of the next Ice Age. The factors supported it and the timescale supported it, but we didn't. Climate change versus global warming, just to explain the difference. Climate change is a regional or global change in the climate. This is a misused term for the situation at present day. Climate change states that, for example, if one place loses its precipitation, rain, then other drying out, the precipitation from there will be moved elsewhere. This maintains the climate equilibrium in nature. So, change one side, the other side has to change for it. And this is correct, to a certain degree.
These are examples where climate change was wrong.
4 billion BC, the violent thunderstorms and volcanic eruptions globally following the planet's creation. I don't think there are cases of it snowing somewhere to combat the heat.
650 million BC.
The entire planet froze over. It's noble Earth. As you can see, there's no palm beaches or whatever to counteract the ice. 550 million BC.
The greatest mass extinction in history. 96% of all life was wiped out, caused
by a long winter following extreme supervolcanic activity in Siberia. The Permian-Triassic mass extinction. Oddly enough, I think the weather pattern was pretty much the same throughout the whole planet. Ice ages. The temperature of the whole planet dropped several times. And I know that there are deserts around the equator, the Arabian, the Saharan, but unless the whole planet here was turning into a desert to combat all this ice from the north and south, I don't think climate change would have actually balanced that out. And as you can see, it obviously didn't. Because there's still rainforest here, a little shard of desert up there.
Climate change
works on small events. A little bit, like just a degree, just a change of 1 degree in the angle of the jet stream, whatever. So it works on small events, but not on singular events that concern the entire planet. I mean, supervolcano, that's going to change the whole. That's going to change everything. For example, the global warming that we are experiencing stopped being climate change by the late 20th century. Because it was too severe for nature to try and counter. The weather phenomenon that we are experiencing now is an upset climate equilibrium. Just like the runaway effect. To a point, there was a balance, even with the global warming, with the Earth heating up. But eventually that did stop, because there's only so much that can be countered against before the whole planet starts heating up. So how did the Industrial Revolution cause global carbon emissions to get out of control? There's a simple answer, and I call them the surface carbon cycle and the subterranean carbon cycle. The surface carbon cycle is where all the spheres and processes of
the carbon cycle
that take place from the soil layer upward, including the surface layer of the ocean. So the pedosphere and the top part of the hydrosphere. This means that there are, if you remember from 2 episodes ago, this means that there are 5,360 gigatons of carbon in circulation at any one time on the surface. And 850 of that gigatons of carbon are in the atmosphere. The subterranean carbon cycle, which is all the spheres and processes of the carbon cycle that take place below the soil layer, including the deep ocean. So the lithosphere and the lower half of the hydrosphere. This means that there are 137.37 petatons, or 137,370 gigatons, of carbon in circulation at any one time subterraneally. 4,000 gigatons of this carbon is stored in fossil fuels. And there are currently 1.1 trillion tons of coal left on the Earth, 1.7 trillion barrels of oil left on the Earth as well. I don't know why they couldn't put it in tons, weirdos. And there are 6.879 trillion cubic feet of natural gas left. Which this is one thing I hate about the imperial measurement system. Why can't they just put it into metric? I mean, it's just weird. Please, other side of the Atlantic, please adopt the metric system. You're just confusing everyone. So the links between these two, the subterranean and surface cycles, is the subduction of SEMA, which is the oceanic plates, under the CL, continental plates, which traps carbonic acid
and carbon-rich elements in the crust.
This can also apply to 2 SEMA plates, so 2 oceanic plates colliding and subducting into the mantle, but usually it's SEMA and CL. Volcanic eruptions release carbon from the mantle onto the surface. The upthrust and weathering of tectonic plates, where carbon-rich rocks are pushed up to the surface and worn away. And anaerobic decomposition, which is the production of fossil fuels and their descent into the lithosphere. The unnatural methods are drilling and mining to get fossil fuels. Because they're not natural, they would never surface on their own. And these are the consequences of the Industrial Revolution. This shows where the amount of coal used for heating starts to increase due to the population increase. And this period here shows the Industrial Revolution. Does this look like thousands of years of global cooling, let alone little ice age over here? No? Me neither, I don't think so. I think these temperatures are increasing here. So, natural versus man-made global warming. Global warming is nature's way of warming up, and it's a natural process. The global warming caused by us isn't natural because it's caused by the combustion of fossil fuels. The Earth didn't burn fossil fuels in an ice age. There are other ways, including the surface carbon cycle. Humans are introducing carbon from the subterranean carbon cycle, and there is way too much of it. The temperatures of the medieval warm period never reached the same as present day because we are releasing too much carbon into the atmosphere. There are 4,000 gigatons of carbon in fossil fuels. There are 850 gigatons of carbon in the atmosphere. You do not want all that carbon to end up in the atmosphere. Remember, the Industrial Revolution that I'm mentioning was just the beginning. That took place in just one country. Most of the world's industries are mechanized. Mechanization requires fossil fuels. How long do you think it'll be until 4,000 gigatons of carbon are in the atmosphere? Thanks to deforestation, there are less means of reducing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The ocean can't keep absorbing all this carbon dioxide forever. Sad truth. Brace yourself, everyone. You ready? Here we are. We can't stop global warming. You see, we've already reached a runaway effect where carbon dioxide is entering the atmosphere too quickly for photosynthesis to remove it all at a steady rate. So all it can do is just slow down the rate of carbon dioxide increasing the atmosphere by a fraction. The Earth never experienced the cover level of temperature we've had since the freaking Cretaceous. Yeah, dinosaurs still roamed when the planet was this warm. As such, it's not equipped to deal with this sudden increase of carbon dioxide. There is at least one supervolcano that will erupt within the next couple of decades or so, with several more waking up. Yes, Capi Flegre, I'm looking at you. Hold on, which way's north? That north is that way. Just imagine me looking south to the Bay of Naples. Yes, Capi Flegre, I'm looking at you. This will increase global warming due to the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Because even though it might cause a little bit of volcanic winter, even if you put on like a really thick blanket when you're eating an ice cream, you're still going to get very warm very quickly.
The future.
The oceans will continue to decrease in pH, wiping out all shellfish and crustaceans as the shells dissolve
into acid.
As you can see. This isn't good. Yeah, because they require calcium from the ocean to build their shells, and that's starting to dissolve. That's not good. And here's an example of shells dissolving. There's a bit of a horseshoe crab. Horseshoe crabs are freaking indestructible. They survived.
Countless of mass extinctions.
But they aren't surviving this one. Rainforests will go up in smoke to make room for cattle ranching and mining, particularly in the Amazon. And one of the problems with rainforest soil is for cattle ranching, one of the problems with rainforest soil
is that it
isn't actually very good in terms of mineral quality, which means that after they burn down the forest and let the cattle eat, they suck out all the nutrients and minerals out of the soil and leave the ground dead. And then the farmer's like, okay, let's move on. And then you burn more rainforest, and the cycle of destruction continues, leaving behind patches of dead forest. The only reason why the rainforest has lasted this long is because huge sandstorms from the Sahara blow nutrients across into the Amazon. Because back in the Jurassic and Cretaceous,
the Saharan deserts
used to be a tropical swamp. Not anymore, so those nutrients are being recycled in the Amazon, but no longer. Oil drilling will take place in Antarctica and the Arctic, scrapping all city environment laws. And it's inevitable, because it will happen. Because the world is truly that hungry for oil. Here we have oil and methane deposits and coal. Shame these guys can't do anything about it. Oil wars will break out in the Middle East as countries become desperate for the black goo. I mean, let's be honest, look at the Gulf Wars, right? You know, Iraq invading Kuwait. Well, why did America get involved? I highly doubt it's because they were defending a country in need. I'm pretty sure it's because there was oil there. And here's an example of why.
You see these fires here?
As the Iraq soldiers are forced to retreat from Kuwait under the threat of another invasion by Britain and the US, they set fire to the oil wells. Those fires burned for weeks. All that oil gone. The sky will go dark from all the soot reflecting light from the sun away, known as global dimming. Jeremiah said that when sulfur dioxide mixes with the water atmosphere, forms sulfuric acid crystals and reflects sun away, It's like this. And here's the worst part. This is already happening nowadays. I mean, San Francisco, London, Beijing, Mumbai, New Delhi. Yellowstone erupts, plunging the northern hemisphere into almost complete darkness. Yellowstone is a ticking time bomb. We're approaching the last few seconds right now. Very powerful earthquakes are being recorded around here. Sorry, this is the only modern ones I could get. Very powerful earthquakes are being recorded along here. Here's a scary thing to know. You see how there's a lake down here in the southern half of the park? What happened was a couple of the rangers in Yellowstone noticed that the boathouse and several areas of the southern half of the lake were flooded. And several areas in the north were dry. And they're like, what was that? And so they got a bunch of tiltometers and decided to measure the lay of the land, different levels, the heights and drops and stuff, and compared them with data from like the 18th century. They noticed that the northern half of the caldera is swollen 6 meters. And because of that, it's displacing all the water down south. Yellowstone's going to erupt very soon. And as you can see here, and ash fallout isn't going to be pretty. Mountain headlands caused that a little bit. And here's previous volcanic eruptions. Long Valley, caldera, which is pretty freaking big ash fallout. And Yellowstone causes it alone here. But next time Yellowstone erupts, it will cover half the US. No doubt about it. Sea levels will rise by tens of meters, causing refugees to flee to Europe, China, and the US. This is how quickly sea levels rising. 3.41 millimeters per year. That's freaking terrifying. Seriously. That's a lot. You can see that change on a ruler. Low-lying areas like the Maldives are going to drown. Over here, look how quickly the sea level's rising, right? Look how far away it is. Look how close it's going to be. And over here, in the flooded cities. I mean, you've all seen what happened when Hurricane Katrina hit, right? And New Orleans was flooded. Just imagine what happens when the sea doesn't eventually leave because the storm surge is over. No, it stays there because that's a new sea level. Billions will die from the famine and the fighting that ensues. Because already there are recorded famines across the planet, in Africa. Shame. Look at all those graves over there. Yes, those are graves. And there'll be fighting everywhere, and it'll be utter chaos. The largest mass extinction in history will take place. Here's a quote by Tom Hartman, who I don't really know who he is. Sorry about that, but I found it interesting, so I'll read it out to you. In 24 hours since this time yesterday,
over 200,000 acres of rainforest have been destroyed in our world.
Fully 13 million tons of toxic chemicals have been released into our environment. Over 45,000 people have died from starvation, 38,000 of them children. And more than 130 plant and animal species have been driven to extinction by the actions of humans. And all this just since yesterday.
You ever heard of the Holocene mass extinction? It started
when mammoths and the woolly rhino started being killed. And it's still going on. Do you know why? Because of us. Humans are wiping out everything, and here's a little picture of a dodo. We killed them all. The rate of extinction increasing very quickly. We are screwing up this planet, big time. This is the planet Venus. Second planet from the sun, solar system. It's our friendly neighbor, apparently. We're very similar. Venus and Earth are very similar in size. The reason why I'm showing you Venus is because Venus is the future of the Earth. This is what scientists guess that the surface of Venus looks like. We don't actually know, and the reason why is because of this. See all this? We can't see the surface because of these big-ass clouds. Not only are they big-ass, but they're thick-ass as well. These clouds are several kilometers thick. And when you learn about what they're made of, it's actually kind of scary how similar they are to the Earth. You see, 600 million years ago plus, Venus used to be more like the Earth. I mean, it's very similar in size. Put them next to each other, you would say that Venus is Earth's little sister, or whatever. So we're not sure exactly what happened since then, but things got a bit out of hand. There was a global warming on a huge level on Venus, and it evaporated all the oceans, and it just destroyed the planet's surface. Venus is the second planet from the sun, but its temperature on the surface is like 450 degrees Celsius. On Mercury, which is much closer to the sun, it's only 170 or so degrees Celsius. I mean, really? All these black structures you can see here, those are all lava flows and volcanoes. And it is incredibly hot there. The atmosphere percentage compared to Earth, our atmosphere is 79% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and the rest is trace gases. Venus, it is 3.5% nitrogen, 96.5% carbon dioxide, and the rest are trace gases, which is mainly sulfur dioxide. We have nowhere near the amount of carbon dioxide that Venus has in our atmosphere. And the pressure is so great on Venus because of such a thick atmosphere. The pressure on the surface of the Venus is 93 times greater than on the surface of Earth. You'd have to be at like the bottom of the ocean to get that same level. This is what Earth's future is going to look like. From the sky, we're going to have these thick clouds full of just noxious chemicals, and the atmosphere will be chock-a-block full of carbon dioxide, just enveloping the planet like a constant blanket, just suffocating us. And on the surface, there'll be no oceans, there'll be no life, temperatures will have skyrocketed, and then nothing can live there. There's a chance that there may be aliens on Venus 600 million years ago, but the greenhouse effect reached the runaway point, and it is inhospitable. And I'm not lying or joking when I say that this is the future of Earth. It doesn't matter what data you can add to say, oh no, there'll still be some water left over, or the atmosphere of the Earth going to take so much water. I'm pretty sure the Venus natives thought that same thing. And look at it now. This is the future of Earth, ladies and gentlemen. A dead planet. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. Earth is dying and it's our fault. And it's indirectly our fault. Directly, it's our ancestors' fault. Sorry to sound so pessimistic. Just for those of you who still have doubts, Donald Trump pulled out of the Paris environmental peace talks. Look how chuffed he is. I mean, look, he's like, I screwed up the planet. Huh? China is advancing their industry. If I remember correctly, they said they want to increase their economy
by 6.5% per year.
That's freaking tons. The US and China are wrestling for position of the world's largest economy. These are big data. I mean, as you can see, yeah, I was right from last slide. See, this is how much the economy is increasing per year. China will eventually overtake the US. And it's just going to be freaking chaos. Just them trying to beat the US and China wrestling for control. No one is taking direct action to stop rainforests being destroyed. Or stopping the ocean acidifying. In case you can't see that properly, that's bleached coral. The world hasn't embraced fossil fuels. Normal fossil fuels are blue, and renewable energy is red. As you can see, it's decreasing. Very sad. Where there's oil industries, there's corruption. And it's not good. And let's be honest, how many countries with oil aren't corrupt? There's always that one guy who's trying to stuff his pockets full of money for oil. And if I don't survive after releasing this episode, that's because they found me and it proves me right. Just remember that. And some people still don't freaking believe in global warming.
Neither RW nor I could find an image without having a rage fit. While working in this particular section, people kept staring at both RW and I because we could just not calm down.
Even if you live like Canada or Siberia or whatever, and you're saying, it's snowing here, how can it be a global warming? That's because you're living at a polar ice cap. Of course it's going to be cold there. Global warming is happening. And it's taking a little while for it to reach you because it's still cold. If you look at other places and all the data, the net temperature increase of the planet, you will see that global warming is happening. Sorry if I was ranting there. Just I get really pissed off when I hear someone talk about they don't believe in global warming. If scientists had found a way to reverse global warming, they would have done it by now, instead of letting all this happen. Yes, it is the end of the world, if we don't do anything about it. There's nothing that's going to get us out of this scenario. And this is something very big. So sorry about that little doomsday prophecy there. Anyway, so, the only way out of this situation is if someone gets their act together and does something. So, our hopes are scientists do something for once and find a way to pump carbon dioxide below the crust, fulfilling the cycle of subterranean carbon cycle to surface carbon cycle back down to the subterranean carbon cycle. A time traveler from the future comes to help us and tells us how badly we've been screwing up. Before you argue this, David Tennant was the best Doctor ever. Okay, capiche? End of the story, done. He is. Aliens decide to help us and forgive us for all the terrible alien films, which, if I was an alien, I would be very surprised at myself, which I think would be very generous to them, because if I was an alien, I would probably destroy the Earth too, following all those terrible alien films. And the final option is that I'm declared Emperor of the world, and I do something about global warming, unlike most world leaders before me. I would be a good leader. Yep, those are pretty much our only options.
You know, the fourth one appeals to me the most. What do you think?
So, what now? Gonna be serious. With each passing generation, our technology and knowledge expand and grow. Well, we don't currently have the capability to stop global warming, but what we can do is we can slow it down. We can decrease the rate of carbon dioxide entering the atmosphere. We can try to keep Earth alive until one day, in the near future, your descendants find a way to sort out this mess once and for all. Just got to keep the planet alive one day at a time. So that's the end of the lecture. Just want to say thanks for watching. Hope you're all enlightened about the world around you and global warming. And in case any of you have headaches, I'm sorry for that, but I hope it was worth it for you guys. So anyway, just before I end the video, I just want to ask you something. So if you like these lectures, please do let me know.
Me and RW both enjoyed working on this lecture.
Please do give me ideas in the channel discussion.
And RW and I will make another university style lecture presentation about it. Please do share my videos and please do comment what you think of them. Please do give me ideas in the channel discussion about what we could do our next presentation about. We all wish the best to RW, who is still on the run from the Illuminati and I haven't heard from him for the past 2 weeks. But he should be fine. Anyway, see you next video, comrades. Until then.